What is going on, guys? Money Webby here, back again on Tuesday with a nice 5-game slate here tonight. Now I got to narrow down for you with 6 of my favorite plays on the slate, my money 6. So before we get going, slap up that like button if you're ready to win some money here tonight on the slate. Really appreciate it. Let's try to get over 100 likes again on this one. Thank you for all the support in the past year. Wish you guys a happy new year. I hope you enjoyed yourself last night if you did anything, or just kick back, watch the ball drop. But we're going to watch some balls drop in the bucket here tonight with my plays with the money 6. So let's get into it, though. Joel Embiid here at 10,200, an extremely good matchup going against the Clippers. They really struggle against centers. He's questionable, though. But it sounded like they were just being a little bit more precautionary with this last game that he missed, and they got absolutely blown out. So obviously they're going to want him to play. It was just like left knee soreness, so I feel like they were just a little bit cautious, like I said. But the one game against the Clips, the guy went for 41 points, 13 rebounds, good for 68 DraftKings points. And this game's projected again here to be very close. In a high-scoring game, it currently has the highest over/under on the slate. And Embiid, he's been balling out this year. The last 2 games, 60 and 61 DraftKings points. He did have that OT game, so maybe that kind of messed up with his knee injury a little bit. But now that he hasn't played since the 27th, so he had, 4 days off pretty much, 28th, 29th, 30, 4 days off. He should be rested up and ready to go here for this game against the Clippers. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my first guy. I'm going to go with DAMIAN LILLARD. He's been struggling a little bit lately, I would guess. Well, not really because of himself, but the last game was due to a blowout against that same team, like I mentioned, without Joel Embiid. So he only played 27 minutes there in that game. And then against the Golden State, he struggled to find a shot in that one. But Golden State can be pretty good defensively if they kind of push themselves to the limit. But in this matchup against the Kings, they're not very good against guards in this game here. Another game here that should be very high scoring, very fast paced. And I think DAMIAN LILLARD can really fill it up. We know he has that huge upside, and we're getting him at a pretty solid price tag. I mean, he's had upwards of like 9,500 in some of these games, especially the high scoring games where he'll be priced up. But in this matchup, he's kind of priced down just because he has been so inconsistent recently. But in these good matchups, he's definitely has the capability of dropping a lot of DraftKings points, and he has big minute upside too in some of these games. If like the backups aren't playing well, then DAMIAN LILLARD can get a lot of runs. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there. I think he has 50-plus upside in that matchup. And for my third guy, I'm going to go with Eric BLEDSOE. He does have some risk to him, as this game could be a blowout between the Bucks and the Pistons. But the Pistons, they've been kind of struggling recently, so they could bring the A game here tonight and keep it close. If it does stay close, I think Eric BLEDSOE is going to have an extremely good game here. He's played very well against the Detroit Pistons this year. He dropped 38 against them the last matchup, and then the game before that, he dropped over 40. So in the 2 games, he's averaging 40.8 DraftKings points. And the thing is, we're getting him at a huge salary discount. I mean, he was hovering around 7,600 just like a week and a half ago. So now he's at 6,200, kind of due to him being a little bit not as active recently. But there wasn't really any need to. I mean, Giannis was just going off against the Knicks. They had really no answer for him. And also against the Brooklyn Nets, couldn't really get it going, and that game was a blowout anyway, so he only played 24 minutes. But in this game, I think he'll be kind of maybe the go-to guy. I mean, he really has the best matchup on the court, honestly. Reggie Jackson is not very good defensively. They've been allowing the most fantasy points to guards out of anyone. The Pistons, that is. They are pretty solid down low with Drummond and Blake Griffin. So I think Eric BLEDSOE can carry the load here, step up, and he's really good value at 6,200. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there. And then for my fourth guy, I want to go with EMMANUEL MUDIAY, another guy here. Obviously, he's questionable, so you got to stay updated with him. But we got a little bit of a grudge match here. I mean, EMMANUEL MUDIAY, he was supposed to be like the future of the Nuggets. They drafted him pretty high. I think he was like the 4th draft pick or something like that, maybe 5th, somewhere around there. But he really flamed out on the Nuggets. And then they brought in Jamal Murray, who really kind of superseded them and took away his job. So MUDIAY has a little bit of probably revenge on his mind in this game. I would imagine he gives it a go. He didn't play. No, I think he did play last game, but he had that little ankle sprain that came up after the game. But I would imagine that he's going to be good to go. I mean, he'll probably try to shake it off for this match. I mean, he probably doesn't want to miss this game. and he's actually been playing really well this year. I mean, over the last couple weeks, he's been dropping some big games. Like he had 41 against the Hawks, 48 against Phoenix. So in these upper kind of tempo games, this tempo isn't that great, but I feel like he's going to try to be super usage in this matchup to prove a point. And when he does kind of go into that super usage role, he has huge upside like we saw in those games. Like the last 5 out of 10 games, he has like over 40 or around 40 DraftKings points. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my fourth guy. Then I'm going to go with a nice value here in Reggie Bullock. He played really well against the Milwaukee Bucks. Last time out, he dropped 31 DraftKings points, shot very well, 64% from the field. And Milwaukee is another team here that they are pretty solid down low and against guards, but they do kind of allow some DraftKings points to the small forward position. That's where Reggie Bullock will be playing here. He does play some shooting guard, but now he's kind of moved over to the small forward role based on how they made their starting lineup. Stanley Johnson used to be in the lineup, but he isn't anymore. So I think Reggie Bullock has some nice upside in this game. He has kind of been up and down because he does rely mostly on scoring points. He doesn't really fill it up in many other categories, but there also is that off chance. I mean, DFS, you can't fully predict what's going to happen every night. Some balls just bounce the other way, and Reggie Bullock does have the ability to get around like 4 rebounds or 3 rebounds, and if he does do that, I think he has really good upside. I mean, we saw him go for 31, like I said, against Milwaukee, and then 43 the next night out. So, I mean, he does have that huge upside if he gets hot from the field. And like I said, Milwaukee, they're the worst against small forwards, and they aren't great against three-point shots. I mean, they're pretty good defensively, but the one place that they are a little bit weaker is against three-point shooters. So I think Reggie Bullock can get it going here. If he can find a stroke, he is really good upside of 4,000, and they need him to step up because a guy like Reggie Jackson's been struggling. Bruce Brown has been okay for them in the starting lineup, but Bullock is kind of that third option pretty much, but he can be like a second option if he does get hot any night. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there, though, as my fifth guy. So he's still got a good amount of money left over, but a guy that I think could be interesting here. Obviously, if we don't get a word before lock, it's very risky playing him, but he's actually been starting the last 2 or 3 games here for the Clippers. They really kind of took Gortat out of the rotation, and now they're giving Boban a little bit more run. So a thing I like about this spot for Boban is that he played extremely well against EMBIID and the 76ers team the first time out. He dropped 38 DraftKings points. I think that was one of his best games of the year, and he got 22 minutes. Like, you typically don't see Boban getting that many minutes, but it actually kind of makes sense because EMBIID is a super lanky, similar to Boban. He's not extremely fast. Like, Boban can kind of keep up with him a little bit more. The thing with Boban is that he can struggle with those guys that are a little bit quicker, and he can't keep up with like the speed of the players. But this matchup against EMBIID kind of lends me to thinking that he actually can play like over around like 15 to 20 minutes again in this spot. I mean, another thing here is that they actually have had some rest since their last game. It was a back-to-back here, so you only played 7 minutes, but now in this game, I mean, they didn't play the last 2 days, and that last game he played was only 7 minutes, so he's coming off almost like 3 days of rest because he barely played in that game. So I think he'll be fresh enough to go in this game like we saw against the Kings. When he got 21 minutes, they were coming off around 3 days of rest. So those kind of things definitely factor into the play of Boban. And like I said, a really good spot for him just based on the matchup with EMBIID. And at 3,600, he is extremely good value if he does get around like 15 to 20 minutes. Typically when he gets those minutes, he's always filling it up. Like in 16 minutes against the Raptors, he got 26. 16 minutes against the Suns, he got 20 DraftKings points. So I like him a lot here in the spot. Like I said, 3,600. Obviously, if we get word on the lineup with him not being in it before lock, like if they announce like Harrell will be starting or Gortat, which I don't imagine will happen, but if that does happen, then obviously don't play Boban because he probably won't get many minutes. But I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my final guy. So definitely a lot of guys to keep updated with on Twitter, but we got EMBIID. I think he plays. I think MUDIAY plays, and I think Boban will start. But obviously, we will probably get some information on that before lock. The good thing is that it is a 7:30 tip-off, but the bad thing is that 2 of those guys do play in the 10:30 game. So hopefully, the NBA will give us some information. Who knows, though. But you can follow me on Twitter at MoneyWebby. I'll try to update what is going on with those players if I do get word before 7:30. So definitely keep it locked on my Twitter to find out some information on those guys. But good luck here tonight. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Over 100 likes, like I said, it would be fantastic. Thank you so much. Subscribe if you haven't already. What are you doing if you haven't subscribed? You got to bring in the new year right by subscribing here, getting some great NBA DFS information, and just make yourself a better DFS player, kind of learning how to go about your research. But good luck here, and hope you win some money. We'll see you back here again next time.